every time you make anything part of your identity. Whether it is a belief system, an interest, a pursuit, or something else, it will start to take on a life of its own. It will start to color your perception. It will give off the illusion of you being in control of it, but really you are not. What are we talking about? We are talking about something that you create an identity around. We are talking about something that you are charging with emotion and something that you attach importance to. And this is so deep running in all of our human experience. Start to look out into the world. Observe how this is playing out. Because this is a major explanation as to why the world looks the way it does today. We think that we are making free choices, but really it is these word machines up inside our heads, fueled with emotions, that drive us in one direction or another, in little more than cause and effect. And once you start seeing through this, it cannot be unseen again. Hello from Sweden and welcome to Everyday Mystic, a channel about God, freedom and spiritual awakening. And boy, are we about to break free today. And are we about to clear out a lot of things so that we can truly wake up and allow God's infinite consciousness to shine through everything that we truly are. Now, once you adopt an idea in this manner, once you attach importance to it, once you charge it with emotion, once you turn it into an identity, it will start living you instead of you living life through it. Instead of you being able to use it as a tool and therefore hold it loosely and look at it in terms of its usefulness, instead of looking at it as this black and white thinking that this is who I am, this is a part of, this belief is part of who I am and I need to force it on other people and so on. I know I'm using an extreme example here, but I also think that you can look at the world today and see how this is played out, both in more individual relationships and on the global arena. And it is time that we start waking up from this. And you can observe this. Look at how when a person turns, and I'm going to use beliefs and belief systems as the best example here, because I think that these are the most troubling ones. But as I said, you can see it in interests, pursuits, even fetishes, and don't discount this. Look at how some people turn fetishes into an identity. Look at how they start to shape their lives and their thinking. But now let's get back to beliefs and belief systems. You can see how if someone make a belief and a belief system into their identity, they start to think, speak and act in certain manners. If you are familiar with Vadim Zeland's work in reality transurfing, he actually proposes that these ideas, these belief systems and so on, and a lot more other things are actually independent energy structures that he's calling pendulums that start to influence their adherents once they have adhered to, in this case, a certain belief system. And I would not totally discount this idea. Because if you observe yourself, if you observe other people, if you observe how this is being played out, you can see for yourself how these ideas start to just live their lives of their own while we are thinking that we are making free choices around them. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about my own story with this. Because if I look back at my past life, and I can very clearly see how these things have played out for me. As I told you in another video recently, my Charlie Kirk video, a video by the way that is very relevant for what we are talking about today, I talked about how I got caught up in the culture war about 10 years ago, and how this was starting to affect how I was thinking, how I was acting, and how I was speaking. And not so long ago, I also got caught up in these, like, what would you call them, truth-saying ideas about what is going on in the world. And now, I'm not saying that all of this is wrong, on the contrary. I am very much awake to what is going on in the world. I know that there is another agenda than the one that we are being fed by our mass media and our governments and so on. I know all of this. But when all of these things started to happen in the end of 2019, I got caught up in just checking everything about everything when it comes to alternative views about what the truth is. I still believe that a lot of these things are true. But I also started to see that, or I can see afterwards, that there was an identity that was starting to grow around this. An identity as a truth sayer, a need to tell other people that they are wrong about what is going on in the world and trying to convince other people of certain things and so on. And I actually ended up alienating quite a few people with this. I still believe that this is true, but what I am choosing to focus on now is instead, how can we actually understand the human condition? How can we understand the conditions of the world that we are operating with? And how can we use this understanding to actually break ourselves free? No matter what we are believing about what is taking place on the global stage right now. Because whether we actually are living in something that is engineered, in something that is manufactured, or whether these things have happened more or less by accident, or whether there is some mix thereof. What is true is that there are so many things about the human condition that are hidden in plain sight, like the one thing that I'm talking about today. That if we can actually grasp how they are functioning, how they are being played out in our own lives, with this type of knowledge it becomes easier to actually become free of them. In the end, the big freedom is to simply surrender to the fact that we are part of God's infinite consciousness, we are part of a greater consciousness, and the more we can let go of resistance towards what actually is, we can instead allow this consciousness to act through us. And before we completely surrender to this higher consciousness, we will be caught up in these loops of cause and effect. And that is part of what I'm talking about today. And the more we can actually see this, the more we can actually see how we are just being trapped in this language machine up in our heads, how we are actually just triggered and reacting in predictable, automatic ways, depending on our past programming, of which these beliefs and this identity is a huge part. This does not mean that we should live without an identity, but we should hold our beliefs, our identity and everything like this flexible. we should be open to change when we are faced with new facts, when we are noticing that what we are currently feeding is not really serving us, is not really sustaining us. This is at least the conclusion that I have come to, and there are so many things to unravel here, but you need to start seeing through this fundamental thing that I'm talking about. How these things are living a life of their own, determined by cause and effect basically. How we are not really making free choices when it comes to this. The more we can actually see through this, the more we can instead start taking a step back and ask ourselves what is really going on, and really allow something higher to guide us instead of being trapped in these loops of cause and effect that is giving off the illusion of free choice. So now, when you are making something a part of your identity and attach importance to it, you are in essence entering a contract with it. You are saying, I pledge to abide by these ways of looking at things. I pledge to adjust my life in accordance. And I also pledge to make the group that adhere to these things my group, and make those that don't do this the out group. Religion and politics is obviously the most clear example. But you can, as I said, you can find this everywhere. Interests, pursuits, fetishes and so on. We hold more hard to some things and more lightly to other things. But the thing is that these things will start to shape who we are. When we make them into an identity, this identity lives its own life. And if we don't watch out for it, we can become completely consumed by our beliefs. As I alluded to earlier, it can make a person do really crazy, horrendous things and make a person look at their fellow human beings as enemies. This is a dysfunction. It's being played out in very extreme ways right now, but it is also inviting us to look at it with clear eyes so that we can actually transcend it. And how much this actually happens, as I alluded to a moment ago, is dependent on our emotional attachment, our importance that we have attached to it. If you are, for example, having an identity as supporting a certain soccer team, usually this will not make you attack other people, but in extreme cases with hooliganism and so on, people actually do this. And I think you can start discerning if you buy into what I'm saying so far, that this is not really due to free choices. It's just cause and effect, and one cause causes us to think a certain way, and then this word salad inside our heads are making an identity around it, are attaching importances to it, and is feeding certain emotions attached to this belief, basically. I know I probably butchered up that sentence a little bit, but I think you can acknowledge what I'm trying to get through here. This is not a free choice. And the next thing, and I want to really stress these different components so you can really get a clear picture of what I'm talking about. You also, when you adopt a belief system, for example, get attached to a certain narrative. It can be a historical narrative, it can be a narrative that makes your group the heroes and those that are in the out group, the villains and so on. Look at your own stories, look at what you are telling yourself about the things that you believe personally. Pay attention to what other people are saying between the lines when they are speaking about their beliefs. What are their stories? So, as I said, the belief system, your identity, will shape the course of your life. It will determine what actions you take. It will determine how you speak to other people. It will determine how you feel inside. Maybe you are not able to live up to the belief system that you've attached yourself to the identity that you have started to call you. And so you feel shame, you feel guilt, and so on. Or maybe you are a really good adherent, and then it fills you with a lot of pride. All of these emotions drive you into different actions, by the way. Think about that. If you are consumed with a lot of shame, you're probably going to be rather tired, lethargic, you're not going to be very motivated to do things. While if you are filled with a lot of pride, you are going to go out and be a kind of a pushy person. Maybe you are filled with a lot of pride in your ability to communicate, to debate, to make other people wrong and to make yourself right. And so this is going to be a major drive for you. I hope you can see what I'm trying to get through here. You are being consumed and driven by forces beyond your control. Until you actually see this, take a step back from it and start to think consciously about what is going on. And another thing, as I said, your relationship with your belief evolves beyond your control. You are only thinking that you are in control of it. Your belief, your identity, etc. And the more invested you become in it, the bigger your incentive is to continue believing the things that you are believing. The more the incentive to continue to hold on tight to your identity. Because people don't usually want to admit that they have invested a lot of time and energy into something that might not be as watertight as they have believed it to be. Think about what this means. And what if we are all called to transcend this now? What if we are called to actually see through this? When I'm talking about that we are part of God's infinite consciousness, I am not asking you to believe this. I am speaking about this as a lived truth. Are there doubts sometimes? Sure. But this is where my and many other people's experiences are pointing us to in no uncertain terms. Whether this is actually your lived reality or not does not matter for what I'm talking about in this video. But I want to put this out there, that these systems of thought that has hijacked our minds does not have anything valid to give us beyond having some sort of way of navigating a very complex world. But when we are making identities out of them, when we are attaching importance to them, when we are attaching emotion to them, this means that they are actually hijacking us. They are living us, instead of allowing themselves to be fluid vessels that infinite consciousness can express itself through. In this particular expression that, for example, is me right now speaking to you. Then they become the ego. Then they become rigid. Then they are hindering true, authentic expression and connection. This is what I truly believe. I know I'm talking about beliefs now, but this is where everything is pointing to, for me at least. That we need to let go of all of these structures that are hijacking our perception and that are making us enemies, that are making us see the world in a less clear light than we could, that is not allowing God's full force to shine through everything that we are. They are hijacking us in a way that is keeping us trapped, that are keeping us locked in a very narrow mindset, that are making us unfree because we are living out our lives in cause and effect, and not making really true, real, authentic choices that can only really come from this higher mind that is just waiting for us to surrender so that it can shine through everything that we are, everything that we think, everything that we speak, and everything about our presence in this reality. Don't let your beliefs live you. Use them as flexible tools. And observe for yourself how this is playing out. Because I'm telling you, this dysfunction is a major part of all the craziness that you are seeing in the world today. And the key is to let it go. The key is to really see the unity that we all are sharing. And that we are not here to be enemies. That we are here to be vessels of the infinite consciousness of God. Now, before I go, I have another channel. I talk about it a lot. It's called Internet Mystic Database. It's much more educational material. And I actually have 2 videos that relate to this that will explain this in a much more coherent manner. I'm using a script, I'm using an AI voice, but it is still my thoughts and my words that come through because I work with all of the texts. It's not just some random AI stuff that the AI put out that does not really mean anything to me. I have a real personal interest in everything that is communicated on that channel. And I truly believe that in the truth of everything that is communicated there. And I have 2 videos there that you can check out that will be available on the end screen right now, together with another video on this channel. And if you're still with me, why not leave a like, leave a comment, and share the video on social media and other places. It really helps a small channel such as this one. So if you feel called to do that, if you feel that this video is useful, help sharing it in any way that you feel that you can and have time for. And apart from that, check out the description and the comment section for other things that me and my wife are doing. And besides that, just sincerely thank you for your time.